Chocolate is complicated. Where is it grown? How is it made? What is it processed with? Just like the beer world, there's so many different variables that you could put into the chocolate to craft your own flavor profile that you're looking at. Chocolate is Pandora's box because, it is that complicated. If you can get fresh hop cones and dip them in chocolate, again, the same thing. The fat. And people think, oh my gosh, the hops are going to be super bitter. No, you have a lot of fat. That fat from the chocolate. I like to live in the deep end and swim with the sharks. That's what I tell everybody. Play with your food. Find what you like.
I've got a nice IPA in my fridge. How would I go about deciding what I should pair with? Hi, I'm in Denver, Colorado, and for those of you that have seen some of these, you may be getting tired of hearing from me in Denver, but I just had a great time meeting all kinds of experts. And I'm with Douglas Miller. We have been trying to catch up. I think we met each other maybe the first time in Vegas at CBC, somewhere like that.
5 years ago, 6 years ago, 8
a long
years
time.
ago.
And
Yes.
he's so impressed me as an educator, and I found out he too had a love of chocolate and beer. But before we go there, Douglas, can you describe what's going on behind us? Because there's a bunch of people there that look really excited.
So these are all the brewers. So the award ceremony for Great American Beer Festival just let out, where there is awards in 99 categories. So these are all the breweries and people work there coming out of it. If you see somebody wearing a little medal around their neck, that means they won an award for the category. These awards are the Oscars, the Emmys for the beer world.
Yeah, and I see some of those medals coming up the steps and right behind us right now.
It takes a lot of hard work to win. You have some categories like hazy IPA, there's 300 entries. So to win that category is kudos to them.
Well, I was judging those entries this week, so that was a lot of fun, and it was really tough. There's some great beers there. So this is kind of a celebration.
Yes.
We'll be at GABF having fun, and the neat thing about this afternoon is the winners know and will have on tap many of the award-winning beers. So if you just walk around, you'll actually, I understand it's a sticker. I haven't seen it yet.
Put a sticker up. Yep.
They put a sticker up, and so you can go and visit and get to 2023 or whatever your current year is, medal-winning beers. They also have a booth called Heavy Metal where you can try all the beers. And those are the best beers according to GABF, which is one of the best sources in the world.
Sure, and I also judge, and people ask about judging. I found out some of the beers I tried just a half an hour ago, because it is double, triple, quadruple blind. As judges, we don't know what we're tasting. No brand, nothing. It's just the cup and the beer, which really shows that the association cares about finding out the qualities of different type of beers that are out there.
And we don't always agree, do we?
No. There's sometimes some discussions, shall we say.
Well, that's a good jumping. There he is. Come on, Bart. Come join us.
Bart, how you doing?
You got a session this afternoon, right?
This evening I got to follow this guy, so I got a lot to live up to.
Oh my gosh.
I'm your prereq.
Oh, so that's Bart, and he's going to be he does all the statistics. I about didn't pass that class.
He is brilliant. If you want to know what's going on in the beer world, I would totally follow him on social media, because he has more facts than facts.
Well, one of the things that I was anxious to talk to you about, I've traveled some with a guy by the name of Pete Slothberg, and we actually were in Belgium together and Brazil together, and he kept wanting to go by the chocolate places. And I began to hear this long history of Pete's love of chocolate and Pete's Wicked Ale. For those of you that don't recognize the name Pete Slothberg, he's one of the fathers of craft brewing and Pete's Wicked Ale.
Yeah.
So, here's a guy who could probably eat anything he wants. He still drinks beer, I know, and enough of it. And he really likes to where is the synergy between chocolate and beer?
Chocolate is complicated. I went to a chocolate conference at Harvard University a couple years ago, and that's when I realized how complicated chocolate is. where is it grown, how is it made, what is it processed with. Just like the beer world, there's so many different variables that you can put into the chocolate to craft your own flavor profile that you're looking at. And that's one of the great things about the similarities between chocolate and beer is this just a wide range of producers out there with a wide range of different styles and flavor profiles.
So it almost sounds like the production of it is as complicated as beer, because beer is tremendously complicated.
It is very complicated. I know some producers, it takes them 2-3 years to bring a chocolate to market because there's a fermentation process, the roasting process, sourcing of beans, the cacao beans, that all comes into play into those chocolates. Just like beer.
2 to 3 years.
Sometimes it does, yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I know there's a lot of differences, because some chocolate just melts in your mouth,
Sure.
not to work off the thing, and then others it's important to have a crisp and a snap to it. And then the hot chocolate seems to age. It sometimes gets this coating on it. What are all the nuances with chocolate?
So cacao, the bean, so 100% bitter chocolate would be just the beans that are harvested, then they are go through fermentation process, roasted, and then they basically keep grinding it down, couture, until it makes a liquid. From there, that base, depending on the producer, you can add different things to it. So you can add sugar, which is probably what most people like, because most people don't like 100% cacao, because it's
I'm one of them.
acrid and bitter. So sugar.
So that's kind of baker's chocolate.
No, not necessarily baker's chocolate.
Another nuance.
Yeah, baker's chocolate's another nuance. So then you can add sugar, then you can add dairy products to it if you like, so milk. Soy lecithin is sometimes used because that helps to stabilize.
Or if it's Hershey's, you put in sour milk, right?
Well, they put in stabilizers. Hershey's designed not to melt.
Yeah.
It does not lose its shape when it melts. So when it comes to pairings, when you put it in your mouth, it becomes brittle because it's designed not to melt. Other types of chocolate that are just cacao and sugar, they have a higher meltability. When I taught at the Culinary Institute of America, one of the ways all the pastry chefs there check the temperature of the chocolate before they make candy is put it on their lips right here, and it should not feel any temperature.
Below their lip?
Right,
Are you
right
pointing?
here, right
Oh,
here.
right there, right
Yeah,
on the edge.
because that means it's body temperature. Chocolate melts at body temperature.
No kidding. So I got a hint there. You don't recommend Hershey's in
No, I
general.
totally recommend Hershey.
But if it doesn't melt in your mouth,
It depends on what you use it for, though.
okay.
So, like Hershey's is great to utilize in baking and
Are
cooking.
we going to have a conclusion to this, or we just
No, we
open
gotta
up
keep going.
Pandora's box?
No, that's what it is. Chocolate is Pandora's box. Because it is that complicated, and then you even talk about inclusions. So inclusions would be nuts, berries, honeycomb, black pepper, ginger, fill in the blank that different producers add to their chocolate, and those be inclusions.
Okay, so let's take some specific
Sure.
examples. I've got a nice craft Pilsner in my fridge, and I've got a nice IPA in my fridge, and I've got a nice, dark stout.
Sure.
Maybe a milk stout, just to complicate it a little bit. What pairings, how would I go about deciding what I should pair with?
So
what?
it's funny because I joke with my students, and I like to live in the deep end and swim with the sharks. It'd be interesting.
can see that.
It'd be interesting to try, and I haven't tried this, so I'm going to have to, is try the lager beer with like some blondies.
Like blondie brownies?
Like blondie brownies, yes.
That
Yes.
sounds awesome.
Yeah, I haven't tried it, but yeah, I think that might work. I think that might work. Because I think
So that's a similarities.
there's the similarities
right?
to
That's
it.
the
Yes,
similarities.
yes,
Okay.
yes, and body for body, because the beer is not overly. It's complex, but not overly flavor forward. It's more
Yep,
subtle.
yep.
Therefore, I would choose something that is more subtle, so they don't overpower each other.
Okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Blondies with nuts or without nuts?
Dealer's choice.
Okay, so I got an IPA.
Sure.
An IPA is bitter. Better be careful with that guy.
Yes, they are kind of bitter. So, sweet and bitter like each other. Because when we taste, one thing people need to realize is when we do pairings, our body doesn't taste any differently. technically, there's only 5 things, maybe 6 things that we taste. Everything else is flavor. So bittersweet, umami, saltiness, and sour. So for like an IPA, maybe a chocolate has a little ginger in it. So the sharpness of the ginger. Maybe an IPA that has cocoa nibs in it. So the cocoa nibs would have a little bitterness
seems
into
very
it.
complimentary. Yeah.
So milk chocolate with a little cocoa nibs, so a little
Oh,
fat.
it sounds like a candy bar. What is an almond?
Almond Joy.
Yeah, almond
or-
joy. Yeah, has a lot of coconut
Yep,
in it.
Yep.
Okay.
And then
so a candy bar is a good kind of model for.
sure, I've even done pairs of Girl Scout cookies. So samosas that have chocolate in them,
Yeah.
these go great with IPAs.
So what would you put with the mint chocolate? That's one of my favorites of the Girl Scout cookies.
So the mint chocolate, if you like mint, that's the first thing. 'Cause
Yeah.
not everybody
But
likes
mint
mint.
and beer doesn't seem like it'd go together.
So I would do something bitter. I would do like an ESB, an English bitter. Little
gentle,
sweetness, some
sweetness,
maltiness in it,
yeah.
but dry on the finish. So I would do that. Porters and stouts always, all
Yeah.
day. I love my porters and stouts.
Yeah.
They go.
My favorite too.
They go with everything.
Yes, they do. All right. So on my list, I said we had a Pilsner, an IPA, and I think I said a milk stout.
Yep. So a milk stout.
That's
so
can be a little sweet.
But the way I teach my students at the hotel school is, to me, milk stout, think of a coffee drink. It has a bitterness, has a little sweetness, so it's almost like having a coffee drink. So why not do a chocolate cake? Why not do devil's food cake? If you want to do chocolate itself, a chocolate bar, there's a wide range of ones. You can do what they refer to as 70% or 80%. So 70 or 80% is the amount of cacao that's in the chocolate bar. The rest is sugar, soy lecithins, and other things. So the higher percentage, the more bitter, acrid it becomes. So 70, 80, 90. So why not do like an 80% cacao bar?
So I'm also picking up kind of a mouthfeel.
Yes.
You're choosing things very specifically, cakes, brownies, blondies specifically. So is there, like when you have a thick-bodied beer, milk stout would probably fall in that category versus a Saison. Is there a type of chocolate you would recommend with a thin body versus a very thick body?
One of the tricks is temperature of the beer, because if the beer is too cold, the chocolate will not melt. It'll just seize up. So, not that you want to drink, well, a lot of us drink our beer too cold to begin with.
It's true.
So I would stay away from something that's like straight out of the refrigerator and get it just a little bit warmer, 40,
Yep.
45.
Kind of where it should be anyway.
Where, yes, it is. And if you're drinking a barrel-aged beer, that could be 50 degrees.
Yeah.
It could be cellar temp, 55 degrees. That helps with the meltability of the chocolate.
Yep.
Because if you're doing a 33, 34, 35 temperature beer, the chocolate's just going to seize up on you. It's not really going to melt on you. Hence why brownies, cakes, cookies aid in that pairing and get some of that chocolate essence.
Okay, so kind of a lawnmower beer, which has to be served cold.
Yes.
You got to be very careful. You need something where the chocolate doesn't have to melt, like
Yep.
chocolate cake,
Yep. Yes.
brownies.
Yep.
Okay, I'm beginning to get, all right.
Yep.
So I think I'm beginning to figure this out, and we covered some popular beer styles. So you said you like to swim with the sharks.
Yes.
What were some of the surprises that you've had, because you put a lot of time into this in your investigations?
Yeah, once I did, worked with a pastry chef, and we did chocolate truffles with hop powder on top. So
With
we,
what?
Hops.
Oh,
So
hops.
We ground up the hops,
Yeah.
made a powder, and then sprinkled on top of the chocolate truffles. And
That's
people
weird.
say aromatics,
Oh, yeah.
the aromatics from the hops, bitterness,
Yeah.
which balances out the sweetness and
Right.
the richness of the chocolate. So it brings an earthiness to the chocolate itself.
And herbalness, I would
Yes,
think.
it does. Yes.
Or maybe
yes.
some citrus qualities.
Yes, it could, depending on your hop variety.
Right.
Yeah, it could.
Right.
It totally could. Yes.
So
Yes.
all right. So I could see somebody trying this at home.
Yep.
So when we say sprinkling, do we mean like a dusting?
A dusting, a powder.
Okay. Okay.
powder. I would love to try doing chocolate dip hop cones. If you can get fresh hop cones and dip them in chocolate. Again, the same thing. The
That's
fat.
wild.
And people think, oh my gosh, the hops are going to be super bitter. No, you have a lot of fat.
Okay.
And that fat from the chocolate.
Do they have to be fresh or can they be dried? Because I know at Sierra Nevada, they sometimes have, well, not sometimes, they always have their dried hops, whole cone hops. But because there's a huge difference between a whole cone hop that has been dried and one that's straight out of the field that's still a flower.
I would try and do fresh.
That, that's almost impossible in South Carolina.
Yes, it is. It is. Well, yes.
Almost everywhere.
Yes. The 5.
Well, New York still grows some hops.
We grow a lot of hops.
Yeah.
The 5 hops that I get every year, literally the 5 hop flowers that I get every year, yes, I prize them and do something with them.
Okay, so have you tried this, or is this a
No,
want to
maybe
do?
I will. Maybe I'll go in my backyard tomorrow and get some chocolate and try it.
Well, is there a precedent for this? I've never heard of chocolate dip flowers. Are there other chocolate dip flowers?
Well, it's similar to when people put cocoa nibs in chocolate. Cocoa nibs themselves are incredibly acrid, bitter if you just take the cocoa nibs. Cocoa nibs is the product before you grind the chocolate into a liquid.
Okay.
So that would be the precedent is cocoa nibs is commonly utilized. And if you look at chocolate, there's black pepper in chocolate sometimes. Some people put chili peppers in chocolate to add a little spice note to it. So the precedent's there because we add a wide range. I mean, people do bacon dipped chocolate that they take bacon and dip it in.
I have not tried that.
Oreos, you name it. Gummy worms, pretzels.
I've had the white chocolate Oreos. Those are fantastic.
Yes. So everybody already dips everything in chocolate, so why not hop cones?
I like it. Well, you have to let me know. Because I don't know that I can get any fresh ones in South Carolina, but I might try some dried ones if Sierra Nevada will let me part with a few. So now that we've probably confused absolutely everybody, if you were going to set up your own chocolate pairing,
sure,
what would you recommend for kind of the beginner, and then if you want to go advanced, where would you go to? But a first-timer, when I go home and get home, my wife would probably like some beer and chocolate. She said, you've been gone for a week. I want something, what'd you learn?
So what I recommend everybody to do is don't walk in with any preconceived notions. Be open. So pick your favorite beers, because if you don't like the beers, the pairing's not going to work. Okay. So I don't want to force you. If you're not a fan of porters and stouts, don't try and pair
Makes sense.
chocolate porters and stouts, because you're not going to like it if you don't like the beer. So first off, try beers that you currently enjoy. And then from there, go to your local grocery store or store, whatever. Or if you're fortunate enough to have an artisanal chocolate house in your local community, support your local chocolate house just like we support our local breweries.
That's right.
Go visit them and see what they have on the shelf. I would look for different styles, so milk chocolate versus a chocolate that's 70% or 80%. Maybe a chocolate that has some type of inclusions, such as lemon peel, maybe chili peppers or something of that nature, and just get a collection of them, of different types of chocolates, and start plugging and playing. And what I mean by plugging and playing, try a beer, 2 or 3 of the chocolates, try a different beer, and then from there, take down your notes and see, okay, what common theme do you have from these pairings?
So you need to have a pregame practice with this.
Take notes.
Get your beer, get your chocolate. Tell your wife you're pre-gaming.
Yeah. I'm sure they will enjoy it. Everybody, I mean, he doesn't like chocolate, and he doesn't like beer. We all do, and that allows you to just
practice. Right?
Well, you don't get to these crazy pairings without having a few failures.
Well, speaking there, that's a good thing. So, what are some failures? Do you remember some classic clashes?
Sure. So when I was here at GABF a couple of years ago. When I was doing a similar pairing, I thought sour beers, perfect. I can do sour beers with chocolate, easy. It was not. Because a lot of the sour beers don't have enough body to stand up to the chocolate.
Oh, and this was chocolate what?
These are chocolate bars.
Chocolate bars.
These are chocolate bars. So
okay,
I
so
thought...
you had little chunks where you broke them and then put them in the sours?
Yeah, and I tried it at home, and I was like, this is not going to work. I needed something a little bit more alcohol, a little bit more body, because sours at 4 or 5% just don't have enough body to them to work with a lot
So
of
it's not the
chocolates.
sourness; it's the thin body.
It's a thin body. It's a thin body.
Okay.
So I thought, a sour cherry beer would go great with chocolate. Cherry and
Sounds
chocolate,
like it.
classic.
Yeah.
Not enough body. When I got a sour beer that had higher alcohol content, then things started coming up.
Okay, so for strategy-wise,
Yes.
try and find bodies with at least medium beer with
yeah.
medium body.
Yes. If you're doing straight chocolate.
Yeah, and higher alcohols, 5%, 6% at least.
Yeah, 8, 9, 10.
Oh,
if you
right,
want to go,
right.
you
Okay.
want to go all the way.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like barrel aged beers.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
11, 12%, when they're really rich and have a lot of body,
Yeah.
go the opposite way. Do bitter chocolate because it breaks up that sweetness and that body.
Okay, now the only conflict here, I bet the Belgians would argue with you because there's an awful lot of Belgian sours.
Yes.
And nobody does chocolate better than the Belgians.
I was
Oh.
going to say crap, but depends on who you talk to.
Whoa!
Those are
Almost-
fighting words.
almost
Those are
nobody.
fighting words. I mean, the Swiss would have something to say
yeah, they
about
would.
it. I know some great producers here in the United States would have something
okay,
to say. Yeah. No, they do. Actually, one of my favorite chocolate shops is in Brussels.
So we need to ask them what beer to pair with it.
Yeah, they give you a concierge to go through their chocolate shop as you're picking things out.
Okay, I know who to ask.
Yeah.
Luke the Rodemaker will know this answer or know who to put me on to. So I'm going to ask Luke.
But even in Belgium, they're doubles, they're triples, they're quads.
Oh, gosh, they'd be perfect.
They're out on the western
But
side
none of those
Belgium.
are sour. None
No,
of those are sour.
but if you go out to the west side of Belgium, some of the beers out there would go well with them.
How about something highly effervescent? A goose.
Good. Or I was going to say Rodenbach.
Yep, yep.
An Ode Brown. An Ode Brown would
yeah.
also go well. A goose could go well.
And that's what I was asking. That is really effervescent.
Yes.
Effervescence in chocolate bars or cake.
Sure.
Where does effervescence, how does that affect the pairing?
Scrubbing bubbles. So that's what we call it, is scrubbing bubbles, because the bubbles help scrub your physical palate, your tongue.
Okay.
That helps to refresh.
So what type of chocolate would you serve with champagne or, I know that's not a beer,
Sure.
but something highly effervescent?
Something highly effervescent, you can do something really rich like a white chocolate, although some people don't say white chocolate's a true chocolate.
Yeah.
Whole different storyline there, but maybe a white chocolate.
Most people associate with it, except for the purists.
Yes, a milk chocolate that's really rich, that has a lot of fat content in it and a lot of
Okay.
sugar in it. And then, of course, the dairy that's in it, so something of that nature. So, I mean, you could pair chocolate with a wide range of different everything. And that's why I say to people, plug and play. Find your own palate, find what you like, and enjoy. Don't listen to me.
practice.
Keep practicing. Don't listen to me. If you say X works with Y and you love it, go for it. Go for it. It's your palate.
We are at GABF, and you're actually teaching a session on this.
Yes. Yes.
Shortly. What about
This evening. Yeah.
this evening?
Yep, this evening.
Right before BART.
Right before Bart. Big shoes to fill. This is the pinnacle of my career, speaking before Bart.
Although I think yours might be better. I love Bart, but he's going to be hitting the statistics, so
Yeah.
chocolate and beer it might be my preference.
Yeah. I like my stats now. As an educator, I like my stats.
I know you do. Well, Douglas, this has been fantastic. Thank you for taking
Thank you for having me.
Because you're missing the event here. I'm actually heading there in a minute. Actually, at 1 o'clock, Rodenbach is doing a pairing. No, not a pairing. They're doing a tasting with three
Oh, fun.
different. So swing by there if you get time.
will.
That's where I'm going to be.
And that's what I tell everybody. Play with your food. Just play with your food. Find what you like.
I like that. Well, that's a good way, I think, to wrap this up. We're going to go inside there and see what all's going on. I hope to get my Rodenbach tasting.
Sure.
And talk to some other people. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it, Douglas. Cheers.